I think it's useful also to remind people that the essence of God does not exist apart from the persons. There can be a tendency, there often is, even within the Reformed world, to not hear Van Til out for what he's actually saying. And there can often be this, I think it's not a healthy tendency to identify the unity of God, or I should even say to identify the essence more closely with God. There is one God, three persons, yes. But people will also then very quickly sometimes say, well, the essence is the divinity, and then the persons just subsist in that essence, so that the essence ends up becoming a little bit more important, or it's the necessary precondition to the persons existing. That's what Van Til's rejecting with equal ultimacy. It's not just that the persons are equally ultimate with one another, but that unity and diversity, so considered, are equally ultimate in the triune God. It's not one or many, or one and then many. It is the essence of God existing as three persons subsisting, mutually co-inhabiting one another, and those three persons, dwelling in one another as the essence. So the essence is nothing apart from the persons. The persons are nothing apart from the essence, which all that is the persons existing together eternally as one being. So we end up with the same problem as the idealist philosophers. If you prioritize the essence or the unity of God, you end up with an abstract essence, and only then coming to find concrete existence and particularity, so to speak, later when we start to consider the persons. That's Christianized problem. It's the Christianized version of the idealist problem.
That is so good. And that's why, just for our listeners to put a fine point on this, Camden brings this out. If you notice, I didn't say the Father subsists in the essence as though it's something outside of him, but the Father subsists as the essence, the undivided essence of God. There is there is no initial separation or abstraction of person and essence. Camden, I think that is absolutely to the point and beautifully said.
Okay, that was a great point, Camden. And I've got a quote that I want to read from Van Til and his syllabus on apologetics that I think you guys are going to like, because he gives a shout out to the aseity of the persons here.
That's where I was wanting to go, brother.
Yeah. I know.
That's great.
I feel like we got a little mind meld going on here. Okay, this is what he says. There is an eternal, internal, self-conscious interaction between the three persons of the Godhead. He should say among the three persons of the Godhead if we want to be.
Well, he's Dutch. We'll forgive him.
Okay. They are co-substantial. Each is as much God as are the other two. Okay, that's what Lane just said. Each subsists as the essence of God. Here we go. The Son and the Spirit do not derive their being from the Father. The diversity and the unity in the Godhead are therefore equally ultimate. They are exhaustively correlative to one another and not correlative to anything else. Okay, what I want to highlight is the Son and the Spirit do not derive their being from the Father. The diversity and the unity in the Godhead are therefore equally ultimate. Van Til is drawing a conclusion from his affirmation of the aseity of each of the persons. While the Son is eternally begotten of the Father, while the Spirit eternally proceeds from the Father and the Son, they do not derive their being from the Father as though the Father were the most divine, as though the Father were the fountain of deity, or the fount of deity that eternally is communicated to the Son and the Spirit. And Van Til sees the Calvinistic affirmation of the aseity of the persons as a linchpin for the equal ultimacy of unity and diversity. Now we're going to talk about why the unity and diversity, equal ultimacy is important to Van Til. He's building toward an understanding of creation and epistemology and ultimately his transcendental apologetic method. But sticking right here on aseity, Lane, what would you add? What do you want to highlight about the importance of aseity vis-a-vis equal ultimacy?
Well, all I would like to say is that is the next point that should be made, and I so appreciate you making it. I'll simply add this point. Voss himself, in his Reformed Dogmatics, denies the communication of the essence from the Father to the Son and speaks of an order of personal subsistence and speaks of the Trinitarian relations of origin as being personal distinctions without involving essential communication or communication of essence. And so I think when you talk about the concept of autothean personhood, you get the concept of both a person that has his deity from himself, because the deity, the essence, is simple, undivided, and uncommunicated, if you're following Calvin and Voss, which Van Til's doing. And at the same time, you're affirming that though each person is the essence of God from himself, is a subsistent who is God from himself, that there are nonetheless these personal relations of procession. The Son is generated by the Father, personally differentiated and distinguished from the Father. The Spirit personally proceeds from the Father and the Son, so that you have unity and diversity that, in Van Til's language, wind up being exhaustively correlative in a way that infinitely transcends our ability to conceive it. But that's been the tradition of Calvin, of Voss, of Van Til, and I think it's a central distinctive Calvinistic Trinitarian theology that Van Til's promoting here, that makes it stand out, I think, as uniquely Reformed in its conception of Trinitarian personhood.